Hello everyone, Dustin Davis here for Building Envelope Budget. I am out for an evening walk. It's actually pretty warm. We had about 2 days straight of snow, so I kind of walked indoors for a while. Then we had 2 days of rain, and then the rain melted the snow and the sun came out, and it's been actually pretty warm in the middle of December, so that's good. Today I thought I would talk a little bit. I thought I would give a quick status update on what I've been working on, and then I was going to tell a story about Dave Ramsey that I think is kind of funny. So, first of all, status update. I have been working on kind of wiring things up in the back end with the front end design. If you're not aware of it, I do have a YouTube channel where sometimes I do a video update. And if you go to youtube.com/envelope budget, that should get you to my channel. And so my last video I kind of showed how I've got the design laid out, and then I was going to start wiring up. So now I'm wiring it up. In this new system, I'm going to have multiple budgets available. Like, you could do that kind of in envelope budget currently. But you had to pay for each account, and then you could link your accounts and jump between them. With this new system, any new account you create is free. So if you have like a business and you want to use envelope budget for your business, you can jump between your personal budget and your business budget. If you have kids, you can create budgets for each of your kids, and then you can jump in between them and kind of see what your kids are up to. If you want to keep them private from each other, then you would need a new account. But at least with this way, you can create all the budgets you want and share them with your family if you're willing to share your finances openly. So that's what I've been working on, is kind of wiring up the ability to create budgets and switch between budgets. And then I've started working on creating bank accounts within those budgets. Once I get a little bit further along and have something to demo, I'll do another video update, but that's kind of where I'm at. I actually did start on the account part, but then I realized I need to start with the budgets, multiple budgets part first, so I can tie accounts to budgets. But one thing that I talked about in the past was kind of trying to decide between Alpine.js and what was the other one? HTMX, and I've kind of been using both. I worry that it's going to be confusing when it comes to open source. Here's some things I learned. With HTMX, you're returning HTML. With Alpine.js, you'd use it more like with traditional APIs, I guess, but really you could do both. So I'm still trying to decide if I want to use both, kind of mix and match. But the downside is I was going to build out the APIs and then use like a single page app, maybe Aurelia or something, to just use APIs, and then I would have all the APIs that I would use to build a mobile app. So if I'm not doing that now, then I've got to go back and kind of finish out the APIs for the mobile app. I don't think it'll be a big deal, but that's just one thing that I thought of the other day. And that's kind of the problem with these starting new projects. You're always second guessing what's going to work out the best in the long run. And then you've got to balance that with making progress, because you do a lot of 2 steps forward, 1 step back, rethinking everything you do, and really you just need to get something out there, and you can change and edit things later. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm just trying to get things going, keep it simple for now, and then I can always enhance the site later. There's this concept of progressive enhancement that is a method of building web applications, and it's more along the lines of I guess going from web to mobile, that sort of thing. But I would say that development in general of a new site is progressive enhancement. You're progressively enhancing your website. You start out with the minimum viable product, or MVP, and then you're enhancing it as you go along. But your goal is to get something out there and this is the way I like to do it. Some people work differently, but my goal is always to get a working model out as soon as possible. The downside is your MVP may not be that great and people may not want to use it, but if it's free and you have some way to get people in the door with some kind of special offer, well, now you have users actually using it, and you can get real feedback from some of those early adopters on how to improve things. And it may take you down a completely different path than you envisioned, and so that's kind of my goal, is to just get something out there people can use, especially with open source, getting other developers to be able to run it and then have it simple enough that they can add features and fix bugs and kind of help out with the project. So that's the goal, and that's the status update. Now I'll tell you a story about Dave Ramsey. And what brought this up was I had this weird dream 2 nights ago where Dave Ramsey was in Salt Lake City, and I was still living in Salt Lake City, I guess. Someone told me he was at the hospital and you should go visit with him, so I did. That was kind of weird. Dreams never make any sense like this anyway. But I was sitting in the hospital room. Basically, he was just getting a vaccine or something and just waiting for that shot, and then he was going to go. But we were just kind of talking candidly about nothing in particular, nothing I can remember. But I just thought it was interesting. I must be obsessed with personal finances right now if Dave Ramsey is showing up casually in my dreams. But I wanted to share a time where I did actually meet him and had a chance to talk to him. So when I first learned about Dave Ramsey, I jumped in with both feet, and I was like all on board with everything he was teaching. I used to download all of his podcasts and put them on CD, or in MP3 format on a CD, and then play them in my car. And then once I was done with one CD, I'd rip another CD with more episodes. And so I pretty much listened to everything he said. I'd get all 3 hours and then just listen to it as I'd drive in my daily commute. I also read his books, and so I was full bore into paying off my debts, becoming debt free, and it worked. Worked well. Got out of debt and was able to move to a new home that we wanted to, into an area we wanted to live in. But while I was doing this, I wanted to do his Financial Peace University through our church, and so I applied to his program. And our church is a little different than most Christian denominations, where they have their church is just their kind of congregation in that area, where our church is a worldwide church, and it's very structured, where we have stakes and we have wards, and we don't have like a set preacher. We have a bishop who's kind of over a ward, and we have a stake president who's over a stake, but they rotate out. These are they're called by upper leadership, and they serve for a period of time, and then they call someone else, and that person gets a break, and a new person who, if they're willing to accept, will take on the responsibility of leading these congregations. And so I went to my bishop and kind of talked to him about it, and I think he talked to other leaders in the ward. We have what's called a ward council, where you can discuss these things, and I think it was decided as a group, let's not use a system where people have to pay to learn. It's just not. Our church pretty much offers everything for free. All of our education is for free. And so they recommended I give a Sunday school lesson on the topic. And so there was one Sunday where I basically shared everything that I'd been learning from Dave Ramsey in a Sunday meeting with all the adult members in a kind of a combined lesson. That's generally what we do on a fifth Sunday when we don't have a regular schedule. And I think it went well, but in the process I had applied for this packet to learn how to do Financial Peace University in our church, and so I was on their mailing list. And so when Dave Ramsey decided to go do live events and teach these things in different areas, I got an invite to go have lunch downtown Salt Lake with some of his team members, where they kind of did a little presentation on what the live event was all about, and they invited a lot of churches who'd done financial peace in their church, and they had this program where if you sold so many tickets, you would get free tickets yourself. And there are different tiers. Like if you sold 10, you get 2 tickets or something. I don't remember what the tiers were. All I remember was the top tier. If you sold 75 tickets in your church, you would get you get VIP tickets, which would allow you to have lunch with Dave, and you'd get a kit for the Financial Peace University so that you could use that to teach in your church. It had all the DVDs and all the CDs and the whole system, and they also gave you like a DVD player in case your church didn't have one. I guess it was just a cheap DVD player, and then you get, as part of that VIP ticket, you would have the first 2 or 3 rows in the live event were reserved for VIPs. So it was really just a VIP experience. Sorry, I'm getting too close to the road. Loud trucks. But as part of that, they also gave you a code that people could use. Well, they had a way for churches to register, and they'd give people a $10 discount if they registered through their church. But if your church had a website, you could request a registration code, which would give them a $10 discount and count towards your sales for your church. And like I said, our church is different. It's worldwide, and I didn't really have any, authority in the ward I was in to do something like this for my church. I had talked to Dave Ramsey's team and just asked if I could get one of these codes, discount codes, and kind of share it on my blog. And I sent them a link to my blog that was church related. It was called Latter-day Blog. And so I wrote a post on my blog telling people about the live event and about Dave Ramsey, and offering a $10 discount if they signed up using this code. But then this is where it gets funny. I was also doing affiliate marketing at the time, learning how to use Google AdWords and having moderate success. So what I did was I bought some Google ads, and this was back when Google ads were super cheap. And I basically, anyone who did a search for Dave Ramsey, who lived in Salt Lake City and maybe southern Idaho, I had like a geographic region close to Salt Lake. If they did a search for Dave Ramsey, I would place an ad saying Dave Ramsey is coming to Salt Lake, get a $10 discount. People would click that ad, they'd go to my blog post, get the discount code, and go sign up. So it was kind of win-win. They would get a discount, and I would get credit for making a sale. And so after I spent about $15 on ads, which is not a lot considering VIP tickets were over $100 each, I'd emailed them to see how I was doing, to see if I'd hit the $75 or 75 ticket sales yet. And I think I'd hit over 100 sales, and they said, "Whatever you're doing, keep it up. We've never had a church sell this many tickets before." And so, yeah, I think I broke a record for the number of ticket sales. And in the process, I got to go have lunch with Dave, got to sit on the front row, took my wife, had a great time. And then he came and did another live event, I think a year or two later, and I did the exact same thing again. This time I took a friend, and got to have lunch with Dave, sit on the front row. And so, yeah, I spent about $30 total and got maybe $600 worth of tickets and more than that in other gifts. But yeah, just kind of a funny story of how I got to meet Dave. And I'm sure they had no idea, because if they did a search, they wouldn't know I was buying ads because they were in Nashville. And I don't think they had anyone in Salt Lake that would have ever seen my ads. So I don't know if it's illegal. I don't know if it was against their terms at the time. Like I said, Google ads were still fairly new at the time, and so I probably had no idea what I was even doing. But they loved that I got them a lot of sales and helped fill up the auditorium, I guess. It was in a big hockey stadium. So yeah, that was my story of meeting Dave twice. So I could tell other stories of arbitrage opportunities that I did with Google ads in the early days. It was kind of fun when it was so open like that, where you could, buy traffic for cheap and flip it and make money. That all kind of went away as it got more and more popular and ads became more and more expensive. But it was fun days in the early internet. But yeah, that's my story, and that's my latest update. Hope you're all doing well and having a good Christmas season, and I will talk to you again soon. Thanks.